Okay, so I think maybe we can start with the presentation. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Guillermo Garcia. I'm an AWS Partner Solution Architect. And with me today, I also have Michael from Allot, and we'll be delivering this session for monitoring and observability, where I'll be starting more focusing on the AWS side, and then Michael will start diving into Allot solution. So without further ado, let's get started. So happy to have you all here today and joining us for this interactive session on mastering cloud operations visibility. So nowadays, in a world where cloud infrastructure is starting to grow more complex by the day, it's quite important to maintain clear visibility into your workloads. So today we're going to be exploring how the combination of AWS monitoring solutions and Allot cloud traffic intelligence creates a powerful toolkit for modern cloud operations. So over the next hour, we'll demonstrate practical solutions for achieving this end-to-end observability, optimizing application performance, and enhancing your cloud security posture. So whether you're planning for a cloud migration or looking to optimize your existing cloud operations, you'll walk away with some actionable insights to transform your cloud management strategy. So let's dive right into it and discover how to take control of your cloud environment. So for today's agenda, we'll go over a brief introduction of what is observability. Then we'll touch base a couple AWS native services related to this topic and also some managed open source tools for observability. And then I'll pass the mic to Michael to give us some more insights and details on their solution. So let's get started and start talking a little bit about what is observability. So here at AWS, this is how we define it. It's like the window into your system behavior. So through metrics, logs, and traces, you're going to be able to gain clear visibility into how your systems are performing at any given moment. So think of it as having like an X-ray vision into your application and infrastructure, where you can see exactly what is happening, identify potential problems before they even affect users, and make informed decisions to optimize performance. So because in today's complex systems, you cannot manage what you cannot measure, it is good to have observability practices for maintaining reliable systems and meeting your business goals. So observability is going to give you the ability to efficiently detect, investigate, and remediate. For the first stage related to detection, often customers do not detect issues as soon as they begin. There is often a lag from when an issue occurs and when you're notified. So what we want to do is reduce this as much as possible. So detection should be proactive and multifaceted, and anomaly detection is a key tool in the toolbox, as well as the ability to link together related alarms to reduce alarm fatigue. So you can respond to failures quicker if you alert near the source of the telemetry, logs, and traces. For example, creating complicated pipelines to centralize data is going to introduce this latency and increase this lag for when the issue occurs to when we get notified. For the second stage, investigation is where people spend the most amount of time during an operational event. And this is the largest contributor to mean time to resolution, or also MTTR. So cutting through this chaos and understanding what to focus on is really important and remains a difficult task for many customers. So leverage logs, metrics, and tracing to help you investigate quickly to understand the root cause. Also, this correlation across metrics, logs, and traces is key. Your time is valuable, and you need to ensure that you are focusing on the stuff that really matters during an operational event. And the last stage related to remediation. So once we have identified this cause of a failure, it's time to take action on it and remediate it. So this might be either a short-term fix or a patch or rollback or whatever. So try to automate your deployments and changes as much as possible. So there's nothing worse than actually trying to fix something and making the situation worse. So don't forget to a post-event analysis, determine how you could have prevented the failure in the first place. So your goal should be to ensure that the same issue never happens again, but in case it does happen, actually be able to identify and remediate it automatically. So from a business standpoint, why do you need observability? So as a business leader, you're going to need to focus on the strategic objectives that are most important to your organization's success. So AWS observability tools are going to allow you to have this visibility you need in your application, user experience, and user behavior to ensure that your organization is going to be effective delivering against the strategic objectives. So with AWS, you're going to be able to rapidly test and iterate new ideas, create new products and services, and reduce your time to market. And for this, application performance monitoring is critical for its success. Then when you move to AWS, you're going to realize business benefits beyond infrastructure cost saving. So your IT and R&D staff become more productive through the use of AWS Cloud Management Services. And here, observability tools can really help you to reduce your MTTR to maximize operational efficiency. And finally, related to lowering your business risks, every industry has its unique sources of application risks that can affect your supply chain, product quality, brand, financing, customers, and partners. So with AWS observability solutions, you can detect and respond to these risks. So, and as more of your operations, products, and services rely on digital technology, your business value also depends on managing availability, security, and compliance risks. AWS observability tools is going to allow customers to reduce this time, the time it takes to detect issues by reducing the overall cost of downtime and risks associated with it. So, what are different offerings that AWS has for observability? So Amazon, as we all know, is customer-obsessed approach, is to product development leads to customer choice. So whether you prefer AWS native, open source, or a partner solution, we are going to give you that choice. So as you can see in the table, we have these three options. I'm going to be focusing on the first two, which is AWS native and open source, and then Michael will take it on the partner side. So related to AWS native solutions, CloudWatch is a foundational piece of AWS native observability that can be also combined with X-Ray to provide capabilities across all four areas of monitoring, as we can see there, infrastructure, AWS services, application performance, and end users. In terms of open source, many of our customers have an open source preference or mandate, and we want to support these customers as well. As such, we have invested also in this area, as we're going to see afterwards. And last but not least, from the partner standpoint, APN technology partners are going to provide software solutions that are either hosted on or integrated with the AWS cloud. So these partners have demonstrated expertise in delivering solutions on the AWS cloud and offer a range of services and technology solutions. And today, we're going to be presenting this solution that Allot has to offer, and it will bring huge value to your workloads in terms of observability and control. So starting with AWS native services. The first one I would like to talk about is Amazon CloudWatch. So modern applications, such as those running on microservices architectures, generate large volumes of data in the form of metrics, logs, and events. So what Amazon CloudWatch is going to enable us to do is to collect, access, and correlate all this data on a single platform that integrates across all your AWS resources, application, and services that run not only on AWS, but also on on-premise services. And it's going to help you to break down data silos so you can easily gain system-wide visibility and quickly resolve issues. So it natively integrates with more than 70 AWS services, such as, for example, Amazon EC2, DynamoDB, S3, ECS, EKS, or Lambda. And also you can use CloudWatch in hybrid cloud architectures to monitor your on-prem resources. Amazon CloudWatch is going to enable you to set alarms and automate actions based on either predefined thresholds or machine learning algorithms that are going to identify anomalous behavior in your metrics. And also, you're going to be able to use CloudWatch events for serverless to trigger workflows with services such as Lambda, SNS, or CloudFormation. Also, to optimize performance and resource utilization, you're going to need a unified operational view, real-time granular data, and historical reference. And CloudWatch is going to provide automatic dashboards, data with 1 second granularity, and up to 15 months of metrics storage and retention. And finally, in terms of derive actionable insights from logs, CloudWatch is going to enable you to explore, analyze, and visualize your logs so you can troubleshoot operational problems with ease. And in addition to that, you can publish log-based metrics, create alarms, and correlate logs and metrics together in CloudWatch dashboard for complete operational visibility. On top of that, Amazon CloudWatch announces natural language query generation powered by GenAI for logs insights and metric insights. So basically, this feature is going to enable you to easily and quickly generate queries in context of your logs and metrics data using plain language. So by simplifying the query generation process, you can accelerate insights from your observability data without needing to extensive knowledge of the query language. So this feature is going to provide three main capabilities for CloudWatch log and metrics insights. So first, it's going to generate queries from natural language questions to help you easily get started. For example, you're going to be able to ask questions such as, show me the 10 slowest Lambda requests, or which DynamoDB table is the most throttle. Second, it's going to provide line-by-line query explanation to help you learn the query syntax. And third, it's going to help you refine existing queries using natural language instructions for guided query iteration. The next service we're going to be focusing on is AWS X-Ray. So how is AWS X-Ray going to help us? Well, it's going to allow us to analyze and debug performance of your distributed applications. It's going to allow us to view latency distribution and pinpoint performance bottlenecks, identify specific user impact across your applications, work across different AWS and AWS services, and it's ready to use in production with low latency in real time. So it's going to enable you to get started quickly without having to manually instrument your application code to log metadata about requests. So how does it exactly work? Well, AWS X-Ray is going to make it easy for developers to analyze the behavior of their production distributed application with end-to-end tracing capabilities. It's going to do so by using what is called a trace ID, which is going to track the path of a request through your application. So this trace is going to collect all the segments that are generated by a single request. This request, that is typically an HTTP GET or POST request, is going to travel through a load balancer, then hit your application code and generate downstream calls to other AWS services or external web APIs. So the first supported service that the HTTP request is going to interact with is going to add this trace ID to the header to the request and then propagate it downstream to track the latency, disposition, and other request data. Another cool feature that AWS X-Ray provides is the service map. So X-Ray is going to use the data that your application sends to generate this service graph. So each AWS resource that sends data to X-Ray appears as a service in the graph. Also, the edges are going to connect the services that work together to serve the request, also connect clients to your application, and your application to downstream services and resources that it uses. So basically, this service graph is a JSON document that contains information about the services and resources that make up your application. And the X-Ray console uses the service graph to generate a visualization or service map. And it's going to show the client your front-end service and back-end services that your front-end service calls to process requests and persist data. So it's interesting to use these service maps to identify bottlenecks, latency spikes, or other issues to solve or to improve the performance of your application. And also important to consider that for this service map, the data is retained for 30 days. So moving on to the second block, which is the managed open source tools for observability. Well, many of our customers have an open source preference or mandate, so we want to also support these customers. And also, why AWS managed open source? Well, open source tools are very popular with the DevOps community, and there's a rise in open source tools and adoption. However, this adoption is going to come with a set of challenges, such as managing storage, API availability or scalability, engineers spending time to optimize memory and compress storage to reduce cost and improve query response times, iterative work in building, patching, and upgrading compute nodes, implementing governance policies to enforce authorization on querying and collecting metrics, and also it has limited support. So with AWS managed open source tools, customers can focus on innovation by alleviating some of these challenges that I just mentioned before. So like they can take advantage of the AWS ecosystem and monitor their environments, leveraging open source tools while automating infrastructure management. One of these services is AWS Distro for OpenTelemetry. Basically, OpenTelemetry is an open source CNCF project that standardizes the collection of traces and metrics. So AWS contributes to this project and provides the service, which is AWS Distro for OpenTelemetry, which enables correlation between application performance and AWS infrastructure data. This service, when combined with CloudWatch, is going to allow you to collect metrics, create dashboards, set alarms for proactive application monitoring. The next service I want to talk about is Amazon Managed Grafana, which is a fully managed service that handles visualization, analytics for metrics, logs, traces, and that offers native integration with AWS services across accounts and regions, seamless connectivity to multiple data sources, and automatic workspace management without scaling capabilities. The service also ensures high availability through multi-AZ replication and continuous health monitoring while keeping your Grafana instances up to date with the latest features. And finally, the last service I want to talk about is Amazon Managed Service for Prometheus, which is a scalable monitoring service for containerized environments, both on AWS and on-premise, that seamlessly integrates with AWS container services such as EKS, ECS, and Fargate. So as a fully managed service, it handles provisioning, maintenance, and automatic scaling of your Prometheus infrastructure. And it also ensures high availability across multiple region and availability zones, delivering consistent performance as your workloads scale. So now that we've explored AWS comprehensive monitoring and observability solutions, I'm going to hand it over to our partners at Allot. So we'll demonstrate how their cloud traffic intelligence solution complements and enhances these capabilities. So together, these integrated solutions provide you with an even more powerful toolkit for managing and securing your cloud operations. So Michael, the floor is yours to showcase how ACTI can help organizations take their cloud visibility and control the next level.
Thanks, Guillermo. Thank you very much. Amazing. Let me share my screen. Just want to show exactly that, how we complement one another. Let me know when you can see my screen.
We can see your screen.
Yep. The only issue is that I'm not on the right screen. Sorry. I have an issue. Try to fix it because that's the first time that it's happening to me. Somehow the slideshow is not happening on the right screen. All right, let me just make my display settings. Yeah, now we're cool. All right. So I hope you can see everything and you can hear me. And I'll start.
Yes, everything's good.
It's good. Okay, so without further delay, let me start. So that's the complementary part of what AWS basically offers you as an observability set of tooling for your infrastructure, for your managed services. What Allot is bringing to the market, which we call Allot Cloud Traffic Intelligence, sorry, we tag it ACTI to make it short, is basically a way for you, any customer around the world, any enterprise customer, to seamlessly assure a cloud migration without the fear of cloud repatriation, which is basically a failed cloud migration where you have to take back your workloads and your applications and your services from the cloud to the on-prem, which is the opposite way of where we want to go. And that's exactly not what we want to do. So what we're going to cover today, in essence, it's going to be, how can I, sorry, I just want to close the window here. Yep. Hide window, all right. What I want to cover with you is what are the 10 top enterprise cloud migration challenges, a little bit of distinction of what is quality of experience, QoE, here the name that you see here, these abbreviations, and why is this a blind spot typically when you're moving to the cloud. A brief recap of the 4 public cloud challenges in Enterprise Blueprint. Then we'll move to understanding how ACTI is complementing AWS public cloud tooling in 2 areas, basically, as a starting, as observability, but also for advanced traffic management and control. Finally, we'll wrap up with understanding a very high-level value of the ACTI value prop and a few deployment and use cases for you to grasp, and we'll wrap up with these. So let's start with the top enterprise cloud migration challenges. There are many. This slide only mentions 8, but within this 8, all of them are basically a common ground that's been coming and popping back and back again to everyone who's migrating to the cloud, any enterprise. And the ones that I want to fix ourselves on are low application performance following migration, but even during the migration, managing your network bandwidth, and also to a certain level, the uncertainty of the cost of the cloud migration process, and even of the cloud sustainable working. Basically, continuously working on the cloud has also an impact in terms of your costs. So these are the challenges that we want to focus on and see how we can help enterprises managing them. So why is enterprise cloud migration so non-trivial? Well, for multiple reasons, but I'll start with the most evident ones. Basically, this is the corporate traffic, basically the traffic that moves between the enterprise premises here, or even the people working from home, and the cloud itself. Why is this very complicated? Because this is outside of the cloud. There's no real way to basically control these pipelines here. So maybe it's there's a CDN in between to help with this, but it's super complicated. Maybe sometime you'll buy an MPLS service such as AWS Direct Connect or a CDN such as CloudFront. It will help definitely, but still the pipes are going to be congested or constrained. It's going to be even further more complex and constrained when you're going to use a simple VPN connectivity. And that's why we have this, I would say, red dotted line rectangle here, because these corporate links are congested, and all the corporate users, whether they're working from home, from the HQ or the data center, or from any branch, are experiencing issues or latencies to a certain level, and we want to start to see how we can help them with this. Within your cloud, also you could experience some issues. Again, not because the cloud is not offering enough resources, but because you have a constrained budget. As every enterprise, if we want to move to the cloud, we need to justify to our business management the price of that migration to the cloud. It has to have a certain price, and a certain budget is allocated for that price, and we cannot go and overflow the budget, because if that's going to be the case, then all of a second, all the applications that we have worked so hard to move to the cloud are going to be brought back to the on-prem, which is exactly what we don't want to do. So to keep the budget within the limits here in the cloud, you need to manage your cloud resources and your cloud networking on the optimal way. So you need to deliver visibility, you need to deliver prioritization, you need to deliver enough of management and observability on that layer here of the cloud to make sure you do not overflow your budget, you don't cross the budget thresholds and make a cloud migration a failure and going to have to go back to on-prem. Finally, you also have your internet links here. The difference between this link here and the links on the bottom part is that these are your corporate links, right? These are corporate users here, whether they are on the HQ, working from home, or on the branches. While these users here on the internet link, they are your consumers. So they're public users, your partners using your APIs and your inventories, content that your applications are coming to the internet to fetch, or multiple clouds or other things that you are also using the internet for. All these links, as well as our managed links, they can be subject to DDoS volumetric flooding or issues. So also this is a potential area of conflict and an issue that needs to be managed and optimized. So to deliver proper cloud networking observability, to deliver proper traffic management, and to have a way to align your business goals with what your cloud delivers to you in terms of usage and networking capabilities, you need to bring more, I would say, more advanced visibility, right? To withstand your budget and no overflow your budget, to keep the same level of observability and to keep the same level of control. That's basically what we have seen our customers being basically challenged with. So corporate users were experiencing with quality of experience issues, all the users here, but also the consumers, the partners, everyone And the IT staff was frustrated because they had not enough visibility and not enough control to basically help balance these issues. And don't misunderstand. AWS is bringing a lot of excellent visibility capabilities. And Guillermo just shown them to you, whether that's X-Ray or Grafana, Prometheus for their managed services, whether this is a Cloudflow, the Cloudflows or anything like this. You need all of this as a setup, as a basic setup, because if you want to have these, you won't be able to manage your EC2 level visibility and your service level visibility and the tracing between your service. But when you want to do, I would say, application level visibility, branch level visibility, or with withstanding your cloud budget and do not overflowing outside of your cloud budget, you need something more. And this is what we're trying to bring alongside as a complementary tool to AWS. So avoid cloud migration failures and avoiding repatriation. So before moving to exactly what is it we're bringing on top of AWS and as a complement to them, I want to spend a few minutes explaining what's the difference between quality of service, which is the QoS abbreviation that you're seeing, which essentially is the speed of what an application delivers, and quality of experience, which is basically a complex, I would say, subjective notion, which has the user in the center. It's multidimensional because it depends on the speed, but also on the context of the specific application, on the time of day, on the expectation of the user, on the servicing and the level of the servicing you're delivering. So basically, quality of experience is subjective, but it's also complex to measure. And that quality of experience requires many aspects. One of them is definitely super covered and delivered by AWS is the availability of everything, which is what a public cloud delivers. Not only this, but definitely one of them. And what we want to basically bring an additional layer to is the reliability, the responsiveness, and the quality of what the public cloud such as AWS gives you. And this is why we're bringing this additional product of ACTI. I'm sure that you don't see the bottom slide part of the slide, but never mind. So how do we complement the AWS offering with Allot ACTI? So what Allot ACTI does is, I think, to understand what it brings on top of AWS as a complementary set of features is, I would say, let's divide this into two areas. I would say three, which is also the budget, but let's leave the budget aside for a second. Let's talk about the observability, and then we'll talk about the traffic management and traffic control. In terms of network observability, when you're looking at what AWS delivers to you, it's the flow logs, the CloudWatch capability that Guillermo presented to you, and CloudTrail as well. It's X-Ray, it's the Prometheus and Grafana added values as well. All of these are basically focused on EC2, on S3, on infrastructure capabilities of AWS. What Allot brings on top of these is basically cloud networking observability for applications, for out of cloud traffic, and for different aspects of the congestion points you're going to meet. For instance, let me give you a few examples. You have applications and critical services. You want to be aware of them, and you want to look at what is happening on them beyond the EC2 machine, right? Beyond the hardware which they are running upon. And you don't want to basically implement your application to do this. You just want to look at this on a holistic level. You want to look at your cloud pipe, basically your cloud networking and cloud infrastructure. Again, not as an AWS service, but as a cloud networking, right? AWS offers great cloud compute monitoring, great cloud storage monitoring. We also want to bring the cloud networking monitoring for your capabilities. We want to offer you also monitoring and observability outside of the cloud. What happens with your branch corporate WAN links, right? Your traffic WAN links to basically look at what's happening outside of the cloud and influence these. What happens with the internet links? You remember all the traffic which is connected to your user, which are outside the cloud. Your partners, your consumers, the content on the internet that they're going to fetch, etc., etc. What happens on the detection congestion points When is congestion happening? Can you detect it? Can you spot it? Can you do something about it? And basically be notified. What about delivering some type of observability, which will be related to KPIs? As Guillermo said, you don't want to go into an alert and a notification fatigue. It's so easy to get notifications, all times of all days, and at the end of the day, you're going to be so obsessed and even upset at the end of the day with these notifications, you won't look at them. What we want to give you is notifications only when your critical KPIs are being basically crossed. So we want to go beyond bytes, instant in and outs, or packets per second. We want to go to monitor real holistic value, quality of experience, SLA of an application or a critical traffic or critical service. This is what interests you, not only I would say not only a memory or a CPU issue, but also I would say the wider picture of an application or service which is deployed on your environment. So you want to set alerts, notifications. You want to even set actions upon KPI degradation. You want to be aware of these without being upset with the number of alerts and alarms that have nothing to tell you. And you want to do more, obviously, but this is a few points about what enterprises customers are asking us to do when they're coming to the cloud. And we found this attractive and interesting enough for us to share with others customers. So this was the observability. Now let's move to the traffic control tooling. Again, AWS offers great traffic control. No way we want to compete with this. This is not a goal. Our goal is to serve customers already sitting on AWS and to deploy ourselves within the customer's VPCs and environment. And what we want to deliver is additional traffic control tooling on top of what AWS already offers, which is great. What a very high level is AWS offering in terms of traffic management or traffic control. You can have network ACL rules, which are basically stateless layer 3 traffic rules, typically a single rule, and it's a block or allow rule, right? And it's basically the same for all the rules. It's block or allow. But our users say, look, we don't want either block or allow. We want to do more subtle thing and more subtle manipulations with the traffic rather than block or allow. We want the rules to be a little bit more subtle than stateless or stateful, and only layer 3. We want them to go to layer 7. We want to basically have multiple rules. We want to have complex direction capabilities, etc., and endless number of rules because we have an endless number of applications. So what we brought to the table basically is, again, on top of AWS, because you need the AWS infrastructure and IaaS, is an enterprise-grade traffic control capability within ACTI. For instance, you want to manage your public cloud throughput. For instance, you want to set assured throughput for a certain application. You want to set fair share. You want to say, right, all my non-critical application, I want them to share a certain percentage of the traffic. But for my critical applications, I know that a certain applications has to have 30% of the bandwidth, another one 10%, another one 6%, and you want all of these policies to work continuously and to make them work as a very specific way of basically managing the entire bandwidth that you're having. Sometimes you'll tell me, all right, but I want to prioritize a certain application, a certain critical corporate application, and avoiding all the applications to compete on the same bandwidth. That's what we call a short traffic for a certain application. You want to mitigate congestion. So in the observability, we talked about detecting congestion, but when you have detected the congestion, when you have detected an issue, you want to start acting on them. That's why we call the product ACTI, because it also enables you to act and not only to monitor or to view, but also to deliver action. And again, the action is not block or allow. It's also something in the middle. It's prioritize some of the traffic versus another part of the traffic. And that's also true for congestion, right? You want to mitigate the congestion and relieve the congestion where it happens. And again, you want to do this without buying a bigger EC2 because you don't want to cross your budget. If you cross your budget, your management are going to be upset. You're going to go back to on-prem. This is the opposite of what AWS or Allot wants for you. We want you guys to stay on the cloud and be happy on the cloud. The ability to set multiple rules for the same traffic, what we call orthogonal traffic policies, is also something we're bringing on top of what AWS delivers to you. The ability to set time-based policies, meaning a policy that affects your applications during daytime or nighttime or only peak time or congestion times, and switch this as you want and basically change as many times of days or windows of policy as you want. Or maybe you want to set a specific KPIs-based policy, which based on a threshold of a KPI, specific KPI. I'm talking about complex KPIs here. Quality of experience, SLA, things that are more, I would say, subjective rather than objective, not a CPU threshold or a memory threshold, but something which is more of a holistic view. And then you want to start having a dynamic set of policies, which are going to be triggered not by time, but by a KPI, which is moving. You want, for instance, also to play with your policy granularity. You want a policy to be different if it's a branch, if it's a user, or by a direction up and down. You want to play with all these granularity and dimensions. And this is also something we're bringing on top of AWS. Troubleshooting, we want to allow you guys to play and troubleshoot, fine tune, go back, go forth, set another value for your KPIs, and basically find your sweet spot again to keep yourself within your budget while delivering optimal QoE and quality of experience and quality of usage for your users. So all of this, and of course, a surgical quality of experience-based DDoS volumetric mitigation. What do I mean by this? You remember your user which are outside of your cloud. Well, and they're not corporate users. I'm talking about the consumers, your partners, the content within the internet, your other clouds. All of these guys can apply DDoS attacks to you. Why? Because they may be, hijacked and be part of a botnet, the DDoS botnet that will attack you. So we will not protect the cloud from a global attack. This AWS will do way better than anyone else. There's no one in the world that will be doing this better than AWS. However, what will happen is that if your own VPC or your own AWS environment will be attacked, what we want to deliver to you is a smarter and more granular way of doing a protection to your services. Rather than blocking everything and letting your services being blocked from the world, which is very destructive when you have an e-commerce or a website or an API or a payment gateway, which is basically destructive for your revenues. We want to basically block the non-legitimate traffic and let the legitimate traffic pass through and be serving your customers. This is the last point about quality of experience-based DDoS mitigation. We ensure quality of experience even while DDoS attack is happening without blocking the entire traffic. So moving on, and now I want to basically wrap it up as a value proposition and move on to look a little bit at how it looks like within AWS public cloud as a deployment. So wrapping up the value prop of ACTI, it's three pillars. The left-hand one is basically visibility and advanced control, or observability and advanced control for any of your enterprise cloud application within migration, already migrated, etc., etc. We discussed this extensively. The digital experience monitoring for your cloud digital assets, your payment gateway, your e-commerce websites, your APIs, etc., etc., assuring that your customers that are going to these guys are being delivered with proper quality of experience, something which respects your brand and does not affect your brand. And finally, we want to deliver to you DDoS protection from attacks to your own AWS environment. Again, the overall attacks, AWS clouds are going to be protected by AWS, but what happens if this attacks a specific application of yours, two specific applications, three specific applications, your e-commerce, your public website, your API gateway, your payment website, etc., etc. This is destructive to your business, destructive to your image, destructive to your reputation. we want to protect this without blocking all the traffic at once, but only blocking the harmful traffic while assuring quality of experience, QoE, within the attack. So this is the value prop set in, I would say, in 3 areas. Now, how does this basically deploy or finds itself out within your cloud? Well, exactly as we presented, you remember this drawing as early on. So we will deliver a centralized, detailed, and real-time observability. I'll show you a few slides within a minute. You're going to be able to see your network, your services, your branches, and how all of this is working together. By the way, within your cloud, outside of the cloud, you see the detection of congestion and deliver to you quality of experience and SLA reports. We will also give you, as I said, the advanced traffic management and control capabilities, as far as we talked about, prioritizing the traffic or delivering bandwidth management, congestion avoidance, as well as dynamic KPIs control with the thresholds we discussed about, or playing with any dimension, upstream, downstream, having a different policy per branch or per user or per direction. Everything is possible, everything is doable. And same for the DDoS capability and protection from your users, which are coming from the internet. Remember, the consumers, the partners, the multi-cloud, anyone from the internet that will be even an adversarial user, which will just use the internet to attack your applications here on the cloud. We want to detect that attack within seconds. We want to remediate to this using AI and our QoE specific tools for this. So this is how we do it. And now let's have a look at how this is deployed within your environment. The way it's deployed within your environment is a very elegant way, which comes from AWS concept, of course. In the same exact way as you have your applications here on top of the drawing, all your applications will be deployed. Each application is isolated within what we call a VPC, or virtual private cloud. Same goes for ACTI here. We have the ACTI VPC, an inspection VPC of ACTI, where all the traffic coming from your branches or from the internet will be basically steered out to ACTI, where to the ACTI VPC, where we'll apply basically in an HA manner, we'll apply any policy needed. We'll deliver visibility, which we'll be able to access through the Net Explorer, which is basically our console, which I'll show you in a second, from which you'll see everything. It's a programmable console. You can use it as a CLI. You can use it as a GUI. You can do whatever you want with it. And that's exactly how ACTI is deployed. Very elegant way, and a way to basically control any of your traffic, whether it comes from out of the cloud, from your corporate traffic, from your internet traffic, from your cloud pipes, this pipe here coming from your ingress or egress pipe coming from your corporate, or ingress or egress pipe coming from the internet, or even your your internal cloud pipes here between the applications. So the way it's basically built, it's an auto deployment VPC. So we deploy within your an AWS environment. This is what we call this bring your own cloud approach. It's basically deployed using your CloudFormation, which is a native AWS language, scripting language to deploy the entire ACTI VPC. It's using auto-scaling group for the HA. It's using high availability, can be deployed in the multi availability zones for intensively even hardening, I would say, the HA component, can be deployed out of band or inline. Here's an example of the out of band, basically to avoid becoming part of the, I would say, the pipes of the AWS infrastructure, but you could also deploy here if you would prefer to have this deployed within your incoming VPC, egress VPC or ingress VPC. Now that you see, this is the new application, the enterprise blueprint for enterprises that are using ACTI. Small recap before we move on. So if I recap, I said that we're delivering key values on top of AWS, or as a complement of AWS within the observability area, delivering application level observability, branch level observability, internet level observability, congestion detection. We also do this while keeping your cloud operational excellence, meaning we allow you to troubleshoot your networking and play with it until you find your proper values and your proper sweet spot. We deliver to you the actionable KPIs for the applications for your VPCs in terms of SLA and QoE, which are more, I would say, subjective KPIs, but these are the ones that are counted for you and for your users. We deliver this for you as a programmable using CLI or GUI-based interface, which I'm going to show you. And that's for the observability. And for the traffic control part of this slide, we deliver not only a way to look at things, but also a way to influence things, right? If you're not happy with your application delivery, your branch level delivery, your user coming from the internet, you can apply different level of prioritization for the branches, for users from the internet, for between the applications, to avoid congestion, to manage the pipe bandwidth overall, and avoid overflowing your budget. And this is also true for flexibility. You want to deliver multiple policies on the same traffic, which is something not delivered today. You want to do different policies between time of day or between KPIs changes to be dynamic, or you want to protect from a DDoS flood without blocking all the traffic and becoming inefficient and losing revenues because your e-commerce, your website, your payment gateways, your APIs are not open to the world and you're losing money. So the DDoS protection is exactly this. Okay, so that was the recap. I'm trying to go a little bit faster just to show you briefly how this works. Here you're on the left-hand side. I hope this is clear enough. You have the observability and control for application. You see these are different applications. We kicked the policy in here, right here, and you see right away the difference between applications. This is a critical application. It's also an interactive application. We needed to give it more bandwidth. Same goes for this one. The other ones are slightly less important and slightly less, I would say, latency sensitive, so we could throttle them a little bit more. So you see the difference. Same goes here on the right-hand side for the traffic to your branches. This is branches. This is applications, and this one is branches. You see at the very beginning, we've left the branches to basically get each of them the traffic they wanted to have. But right afterwards, we had some type of throttling policy to basically get within a certain budget because the branches were eating too much traffic and required too big EC2s. So we bought smaller EC2s, so there was an automatic throttling done by the cloud itself. But the applications and the branches weren't working properly. So we had to apply a different policy to give this branch, the red one, a bigger policy here, and that one a smaller policy, and that one, which is the smallest of all branches, less bandwidth and throughput. And then after a certain point, we just wanted to show to the customers, real life customer, how we can also basically give all the branches the same value if we really wanted to have a fair share. This is a weighted fair share, and this is a fair share one. And here's an example. It's a little bit more complicated for you guys. Not all of you are going to get within it, but this is a small example of how you set your values per branch, but also per application. You see here your different applications, you have your different branches, each application for each branch, and how you set your policies. It's a little bit more advanced. Let's not focus on this too much. So this is just about showing you, the Net Explorer, the basic interface that you're going to have. Of course, you can export this. You can have dashboard. You can play with this as much as you want within your policies, and this is part of what you can do. All right. So wrapping up with ACTI, 2 more slides after this one, and then we're done. We're going to open up for questions. So ACTI, in essence, delivers you 3 things. First is public cloud traffic intelligence, which in essence means observability and control for any of your corporate traffic services or your cloud infrastructure. 2 is safeguarding your business resiliency. As I said, your e-commerce, your APIs, your payment gateways, anything that needs to be always on, always working, even under attack, and not be down or not be closed by your service. You want to have the granular control and keep the quality of experience while blocking the non-legitimate traffic. And finally, we want to do all of this while embracing a cloud ops, a cloud operational first approach, meaning everything is dashboarded, everything using auto-scaling, auto-deploy, self-service. We want this to be done within the elegant VPC of ACTI, and now not spread all around. All of this is really important when you're working within the cloud, also for the way we deploy. So this was about ACTI on the public cloud. Two last slides, one about what's coming next and what to expect from ACTI. First of all, when I talk about ACTI, deployed on a hybrid environment, not only cloud only environment, but hybrid environment. We know that enterprises are using multiple cloud or multi-cloud. An on-prem one and cloud-based one, such as AWS, is the typical way of managing things. We want to show you how we do this and what's to look about and what's to look after when you're doing this on a hybrid level. How to optimize your cloud costs with ACTI. I mentioned how to keep yourself within the cloud cost boundary within these slides of mine, but I also want to show you in another presentation how to take these costs down and start a saving on your cloud spending. And this is something important also for us, but also for AWS, because we want you to be happy subscribers of or happy customers of AWS and not frustrated customers. And also for other customers asking for this, how to deploy ACTI on top of SASE and SSE security services, which are basically not looking at quality of experience, traffic management, observability of the traffic, different types of traffic, how to manage them, traffics which are going beyond the cloud, not only within the cloud, how to do this. It's very interesting, and we'll have another webinar for this. And as Guillermo just said, yeah, feel free to drop any question within the chat, guys, so that we can address your questions. And finally, the last part of the presentation, which you're going to receive if you answer the email, which you're going to receive after the presentation, is basically pointing you out, guys, to our webpage in the Allot website, as well as the sales directors that we're having. For each region, you have a sales director. Please feel free to turn out to them or to AWS account manager, which will lead you back to Allot for delivering to you these services. Again, on top, leveraging, complementing AWS services, how they're offered to you today. That's all for me. I want to open up to questions, maybe, Guillermo.
Yes, thank you so much, Michael. Yes, feel free to drop any questions. More than happy to answer them. And also, it would be great if you could also fill the session survey. So yeah, any questions, please drop them in the chat.
Something that I want to mention while people are thinking about the questions is that, again, as the Allot service is deployed within the customer's premises, within the customer's cloud environment, AWS cloud environment, so it's it's totally agnostic to where your AWS environment is deployed. You're deploying in South America, North America, Europe, wherever you are deployed. We can deploy within your environment on a seamless way, so you don't have to be concerned with this. This morning we had an interesting question about the number of applications. People asked if we have a certain threshold or number of applications that we support, and I explained this morning that we are totally agnostic to the number of applications. Of course, we want to deliver as many applications as possible. Our biggest customers are bringing I would say hundreds of applications to the cloud, which starts to be quite a lot. We haven't yet, seen customers with thousands of applications. However, we have tested them internally, and we haven't got any threshold in this area and any bottleneck, I would say. Another question that we had is whether we can scale in terms of the traffic. No issue scaling in terms of the traffic. Again, this specific application of ACTI has been also tested within AWS, by the way, using C6IN hardware instance, and it was tested as a single instance, delivering up to 70 gigabit per second of traffic. I don't know many people, looking up to 70 gigabit per second of traffic, but for those who are asking for this, we definitely have this for you guys. Diego, my friend Diego, is asking how this Allot Tech is different from the features I have on my SD-WAN on firewall devices. Excellent question. So firewall is mandatory for the cloud because you want basically to give security protection to your applications which are deployed over the cloud. SD-WAN is just a termination of a firewall, and what both these applications, neither firewall nor SD-WAN, are delivering is observability at the application level. You have a very shallow observability capability because that's not the goal of these applications. They have a DPI engine, but it's not geared towards delivering to you SLA of an application's quality of experience of applications and of users, rules which are going both ways, congestion detection, observability, as I explained to them, of KPIs, alerts when the traffic KPIs are going down or up, etc., etc. All of these are not delivered by SD-WAN or firewall devices. This is not something that these guys are supporting. And again, I'm not against SD-WAN by all means. I'm not against firewall. These guys have to be there. You have to have them, either firewall or SD-WAN. By the way, you don't have to have both. But we are serving a totally different area. We are serving the observability and the control, while these guys are delivering security services. These are separate areas. So this is, I hope, Diego, I hope this helps answering your question. The process, if you're interested in acquiring the solution, excellent question. Thanks, Diego. Again, so the process is either you go back to my last slide and you have the name of the sales directors of Allot worldwide, or what you can do is basically answer the mail that you will receive at the end of the session, which basically will drive you back to Allot, and Allot will steer you directly to the proper salesperson from your own region. So maybe it's David from South America, John Reardon for North America, can be Kevin China, or SK in the Malaysia and Southeast Asia, can be Ennio in Italy, or Victor in Spain, etc., etc., etc. I have so many names to point you out, guys. So there's so many people out there for you to be helped with. But just either go to one of them. They're on my last slide using their mails, or answer the mail back at the end of the session, and you'll be directed to the salesperson. And from there, we'll take you and we'll deploy you to the we'll deploy the solution for you guys. Of course, there's a POC session and we're in an architectural session, but it's very, very simple and seamless. Yeah, if we have a local presence, that speaks Spanish in the region. Yes, we have from South America speaking Spanish. We have in Spain speaking Spanish. We have people speaking English in North America, or in Italy, or in Spain, or in Europe. We have English speakers. We have Chinese. We have native language speakers in all the regions. We even have in Oceania. Another question from David: can I combine the solution on hybrid environment for an on-prem and cloud deployment? Yes, as I said, we can do this. We can deploy this solution with on-prem customers that have an on-prem deployment and cloud deployment. The difference is that on-prem, your on-prem solution cannot see your cloud-only traffic and cannot apply specific rules for your cloud traffic. And the cloud traffic is only the one that can do this. And the on-prem traffic also sees all the rest of the traffic, which is non-cloud. If you have traffic going to SaaS, such as Salesforce, Office 365, Zoom, you need an on-prem. And if you have traffic going to, to the internet, to Netflix, to Google, you also need something on-prem, but you also need something on the cloud. So you need both of them. No, it's not complex to deploy. You got the same deployment. I can explain this to you when we're going to face face-to-face. Victor has shared his address. Feel free to go to Victor. Oh, another question from David. The ROI, what type of ROI does it give to me? This is the notion of another session, but we are assuming that we can save around 10% of your cloud spending on a monthly basis. So give or take, we need to do an assessment with you, and we hope you have a FinOps system, but it can deliver around 10% of savings on your cloud monthly spending. If any other question, feel free to send it to us through the mail. I think we're off time. Guillermo?
Yes, so we're on time. Thank you so much for your questions, and of course, Michael, thank you for your answers. As I said before, please, if you could take a minute for completing the survey, it would be much appreciated from our side. And yes, Michael said, feel free to take any questions offline via email. Thank you so much for your time today. Hope you found this session useful. Yeah, let's keep in touch. Thank you so much.
Bye.